This podcast is part of the TPS Radio Sports Podcast Network at www.tpsradio.net.
Monday, March 2nd, 2009. Steel Curtain Radio number 4, a Steeler podcast for a Steeler Nation on whatchoutalkingabout.com.
Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.
Crazy.
Here we go.
I'm jumping out of my skin. I can't believe the Steelers won.
Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.
Pittsburgh's won the Super Bowl. Here we go.
Here we go.
Steelers gonna win the Super Bowl.
Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.
Pittsburgh's won the Super Bowl. Here we go.
Super Bowl, baby! Woo! Big Ben for president. What a tackle. What a tackle. It's what we do.
Welcome back, listeners, to a special edition of Steel Curtain Radio. You're checking out Steel Curtain Radio number 4 on March 2nd, 2009. As always, the program is hosted by yours truly, Lance Williams. And the reason why we call this a special edition, joining us on the program for a lengthy interview is starting left tackle of the world champion Pittsburgh Steelers, Max Starks. We got Max in the building. In this interview, we touch on a whole bunch of topics, so you'll want to stick through the entire interview. I know it's very lengthy, but it's a very good interview. Max goes in deep on a lot of different topics that I know you Steeler fans are concerned about. Some of the things we talked about in the interview, of course, free agency, his reaction to being the non-exclusive franchise tag and getting the tag twice. We talked about just what type of leader Ben Roethlisberger is. We talked about Demarcus Ware. We talked about James Harrison. We talked about Barack Obama. We talked about numerous topics in this particular interview, and you guys are going to want to make sure you catch it and catch the entire interview. Lastly, before we jump into the interview, I want to give my brief thoughts on the signing of Chris Kamiatu. I think it was a solid move. I think what you see the Pittsburgh Steelers doing is bringing the guys that you went to the dance with, keeping that continuity there on the offensive line. I still don't think that they think Darnell Stapleton is a starting guard, so I would not be surprised if in the draft the Steelers in the first round still go the route of the offensive guard or the center position, because Darnell Stapleton did come off the bench to assume that role. A little bit different in terms of when you're thinking of Max Starks, who was a starter previously, a little bit different when you speak of Darnell Stapleton and his role as an offensive lineman on that particular line. But anytime you can bring the same starting unit back that won a championship, that's a solid base. And you can only assume that an offensive line that plays together eventually will get even better. And we discussed some of that in the interview as well. Lastly, if you want to donate to the program, we have the donation tab on the website, whatchoutalkingabout.com. Hit the tab. The instructions are there. We also have the T-shirts. Go to whatchoutalkingabout.com, hit the T-shirt tab. The information is there. Also, if you want to chime in and give me your thoughts on the interview, hit me at 206-202-4468. Also, bang the boards at whatchoutalkingabout.com. And for all the listeners that used to bang the boards via whatchoutalkingabout.com, we have moved the boards to tpsradio.net. So you can go to whatchoutalkingabout.com, hit the forums tab. It'll take you to tpsradio.net. That's intentional. The boards are there. I still haven't seen all you guys jump on the boards. I want to make sure you guys get there, so jump on the boards. But with that, we're going to take a break, and after the break, we're going to jump into the interview with Max Starks.
This your boy Max Starks from the world champion Pittsburgh Steelers, and you are tuning in to Steel Curtain Radio on whatchoutalkingabout.com.
Joining us, listeners, we have a special guest. We've been talking about it a little bit on the show, and indeed, the big man is in the building. Max, say what's up to the people.
What's up, everybody out there in Radio Land?
Let me ask you this, Max. first of all, congrats on the Super Bowl.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, let me rattle this off to you. You've got 2 Super Bowls in 4 years. You've got multiple championships from the University of Florida in the last 5 years. You were the starting left tackle and right tackle on both Super Bowl winning teams. And by the way, that might be something that no other player has done in history. I'm not sure. And you were a member of the first team to win 6 championships, Super Bowl championships in NFL history. Has it all sunk in yet?
I mean, when you put it out on a nice silver platter, as you have done so well, no, that hasn't sunk in yet. It's sunk in that we've done something that no other team has ever done in history, and I now own 2, soon to be 2 Super Bowl rings. But it's pretty overwhelming when you look back and you think about it. Because it's been a crazy road to get to this point.
Now, I mean, that's an incredible amount of accomplishments, and you've been a pro for what, 5 seasons?
Yeah.
And that's an incredible amount of accomplishments for 5 seasons as a pro. And I was thinking about it myself, and I was just thinking, wow, he has accomplished a lot, and they've accomplished a lot while you have been a member of the Black and Gold.
Yeah. We've had a lot of success since the 2004 season. Since my first season with the Steelers. You look back my rookie year, we went 15-1, set the franchise record for wins, went all the way to the AFC Championship my first season. Then the second year we won the Super Bowl. So I mean, my worst year was probably my 3rd year in the NFL, and that's going 8-8. So I've never played below 500 in a season. So, knock on wood, that's a pretty good start.
Actually, I didn't think of that. That is pretty impressive. I mean, many guys probably can't say that. Now, I was watching the Super Bowl DVD the other day, and NFL Films does a fantastic job in capturing the emotion of what's going on the sidelines. In that DVD, after Arizona scores the go-ahead touchdown, you're overheard saying, "We are built for this." Explain to the listeners what you meant by that, and give us a sense of the mood of the huddle during that last drive.
Didn't realize I was being filmed when I was saying that. No, it was one of those things that because I was the only guy who was returning from that Super Bowl line of 3 years ago, I felt like I was the only guy that knew the emotion involved at this point in the game, because it honestly was a make-or-break moment for not only myself, but, for our team. So my choice, instead of the fight or flight theory, not to fly, but to fight. And I knew that we had been through this way too many times this season, and I wasn't going to let it end like this. Not without us putting our best foot forward on our last potential drive of the game. And the mood in the huddle, everybody looked determined. I mean, at that point, Ben shared a couple words with us, and he said, "Hey, everybody, just do your job. Don't do anything spectacular. Don't do anything special. Just do your job, and we'll be fine." And 2 minutes later, we were.
Now, when you talk about Ben Roethlisberger, and the words that he had for you, when you look at Ben, you've got 19 fourth-quarter comebacks. You've seen Ben do it time and time again. What is it about Ben and his ability to execute in some of the biggest moments?
I think that's just, as you said, it's time and tried. I mean, he's one of those guys who's been through every possible situation you would want a quarterback to go through leading up to that point. And he has accomplished all that, rather early. I mean, it's something that you look at having only a couple seconds left in the game to win it, having to go down the field 90 yards. I think we've had the longest drive we've had at one time was 98 yards. So, I mean, he's done all of that.
If you want to hear the rest of the program, go to the website, www.whatchatalkingabout.com, and that's spelled WhatChatalkingabout.com, and download the program, or if you want to subscribe, please subscribe via iTunes.